Video games are a unique form of entertainment. Unlike a movie or book, when playing a video game, you are in control. Your actions, decisions, and mistakes have real consequences going forwards and have a direct effect on your experience. That's why games are such a powerful tool for the horror genre. You are responsible for the pacing and actions of your character. You are the one who has to walk down the basement stairs into the darkness, or approach that creepy object in that abandoned building. In my opinion, video games are second only to real life when it comes to instilling fear. Now, I've played my fair share of horror games. Ugh. My back! As much as it may look like I'm not enjoying myself, I love playing these kind of games, and I also love watching people play these kind of games. Over the years, I've learnt what makes horror games fun, and more importantly, what makes them scary. Even though the genre has come a long way since the Silent Hills and Resident Evils of my childhood, there are still many ways they could still make us scream.
I hate everything about it used to be. Fucking hell! Jesus Christ.
Welcome to Brad's Workshop, a brand new series where I'll be sharing with you some of the many ideas that I've had over the years. In this episode, I will share with you 5 horror video game concepts that I think would make for some fantastically spooky experiences. If you have any ideas of your own for what would make a good horror game, or if any of these games you're hearing about sound familiar, let me know in the comments below. If there's enough interest, I may make a follow-up episode. Right then, let's begin. Chat-controlled horror. I really enjoy streaming. Playing games while chatting to all kinds of people from around the world is a lovely way to spend an evening. But what if they could do more than just send messages? I propose a horror game where the scares are controlled by the viewers on the stream. Through inputs in chat, those watching can take control of the hazards and threats. With a strong gameplay loop and plenty of variety, this would lead to an extremely unpredictable experience that will keep the streamer on edge and the viewers hooked. Here is an example. Imagine the objective in this game is to find something within a haunted house and escape alive. Whilst the streamer attempts to accomplish this, their chat are given lots of choices on how to effect the run. They can make strange noises in various rooms around the house. They can make paintings bleed, or objects fly across the room, or strange apparitions appear near the player. Perhaps they'll even take pity on the streamer and choose to help them, giving them clues or removing hazards. Probably not though. Most likely, chat will vote for the most horrific option available. Summon a monster or a poltergeist, set fire to the walls, maybe even alter the layout of the building itself. As long as the options were numerous and the player unaware of what was being chose, the experience would certainly be a stressful one. Blindfolded. Whenever I stream on Twitch, one of my most popular points rewards is to force me to wear a blindfold while playing a game. This has led to many memorable moments. Guess I'll just wander into the wilderness now, just see what happens. I'm just running a random direction, I don't even know if I'm running anywhere. Am I near the bear? Yep, I'm near the bear. I've been walking around this house like a fucking lemon for about 15 minutes. Open the door. Open the Where am I? One thing being constantly blindfolded has taught me is that you can do an awful lot with just audio cues. That's why I think creating a game based around this very concept would be interesting. The idea that I have in mind would involve 2 players. One would be in the hot seat, giving instructions, and one would be on the ground level, applying them. The overseer would have access to various security cameras around the location, and use these to attempt to guide the blind player to safety, all while evading some form of danger. Picture this. Player 1 takes the role of a kidnap victim trapped in a building. Player 2 plays a police officer who has tapped into the building's security and is attempting to help Player 1 escape. The police officer has control over various devices within the building and is able to activate these devices to create noise for the victim to follow. Of course, the kidnapper will be a constant threat, and making too much noise too close to the player will result in a game over. Add to this the potential for the blindfolded player to kick over a bucket or walk into a wall, and you create a very tense and nervous scenario. Sandbox horror. All of the scariest games I've played in the past have gradually lost their sting because they became too predictable. There are only so many things that the monster can do, and only so many ways that I can experience those things. But what is the most unpredictable thing of all? Well, that's us, real people. Why make a horror game with a monster that you will eventually come to understand and overcome, when you can instead make a horror game where any player can become the monster? What I propose is a sandbox horror experience, like a battle royale mixed with multiplayer survival. You spawn into the game on a giant map with 100 or more players. The landscape is littered with the familiar tropes of the genre: abandoned buildings, amusement parks, dark forests, mines, etc. Discarded all around the map will be various items for you to collect and use. You'll find weapons, armour, components for traps and upgrades, and even costume pieces to customise your look and make yourself appear more threatening. The objective is simple: hunt and kill other players. As you increase your kill count, you gain experience and can begin to build your skill tree. You could stack survivability, turning yourself into an unkillable monster like Jason or Michael Myers. You could choose to spec into supernatural abilities and become a vengeful spirit or demon. There could even be the option to choose to be the hero of the story. When does your game end? When someone finally kills you. An experience like this would have a lot of replayability, provided the gameplay loop was satisfying enough. You could die almost immediately in the early game, or you could grow to become the biggest threat on the server. Ghost busting. I have played way too many hours of Phasmophobia since it was released. Not only is it frightening to walk around those houses looking for signs of spirits, but it also has a lot of replayability. This next concept builds upon the genre established in Phasmophobia, where a team of ghost hunters visit haunted locations and experience paranormal events. In my version of the game, however, the objective is not only to identify the supernatural entity, but also to find a way to destroy it. The gameplay would involve travelling to a location and exploring it, looking for evidence as to what kind of monster is terrorising it. Once the team has identified this threat, they then have to return to their vehicle and bring the appropriate equipment to defeat it. The longer that the hunters are searching, the more threatened the monster will feel and the more dangerous it will become. Here is an example of the way a mission may play out. The hunters arrive at an abandoned amusement park. After some initial exploration, they discover a body seemingly drained of blood, a foul-smelling building with blacked out windows, and a sharp fang. The hunters come to the conclusion that they are dealing with a vampire. Now that they know what they're up against, the team must get the equipment they need and then try to hunt the creature that is hunting them. I feel that an intense investigation followed by a dangerous hunt, all while being haunted and terrorised by one of the many supernatural entities, would create a satisfying gameplay loop that could be experienced again and again. Add to that many collectibles and achievements, and you have a game that could keep many horror enthusiasts hooked for years to come. AI Labyrinth. Video games have reached a point now where systems within the game can seem to grow and learn and change depending on how you play them. The revenge system in Metal Gear Solid 5 is a good example of this, wherein enemies will change their behaviour depending on which method of attack you favour. With that in mind, imagine a horror game that could learn. By tracking your responses to frightening stimuli and monitoring your microphone input, the AI within the game could figure out what has scared you the most so far and begin to implement that feature more. Maybe the game could even require you to wear a heart rate monitor. My suggestion for utilising this system would be in a labyrinth game. As the player attempts to escape from a labyrinth, the game would gradually decipher who you are and how you are playing and adjust the maze accordingly. It could even open with a dedicated section specifically designed to figure out exactly how you would react to certain events. Just imagine being dropped into a maze and told to find the exit. You start by following the brightly lit pathways because you don't want to stray into the darkness. Soon, however, there is only darkness. You get more and more nervous every single time you turn a corner. You then notice the pathways are getting shorter and the corners more frequent. You hear a noise behind you and spin around. There's nothing there, but the game now knows that it can get you to turn around, if it wants to. You keep pausing the game to take a breather, so the game decides the pause function has to go. Nowhere is safe. So there we go, 5 horror game concepts that someone has to make and that I would love to play. Of course, these are only basic concepts, and they would need to be improved and playtested before anyone could know if they would actually work. Please, let me know what you think of these horror game ideas in the comments. Also, if any of these actually sound like a game you've played, let me know because I would love to play that game. So this is the first episode of what I hope to be a long-running series, but I have had a lot of trouble deciding how I want to write and perform it. Any feedback that you have would be greatly appreciated, even if it's negative. There's no point in me spending loads of time making a bunch of these if nobody is interested in watching them. Anyway, that's all from me for now. If you want to support this channel, you can find a link to the Patreon in the description. Thank you for watching.